our father is most popular with the bookies at this stage, but we don't know. In fact, if you're taking a bet, we're told Arthur, Charles, Philip, potentially. Don't know, that's what I'm going with. Anyway, let me know what you think at Kay Burley if you'd like to tweet me directly. Probably going to come here, probably going to go inside, probably going to go and say hello to their new little brother. They may well then go out of the back. Shortly after that, we'll be seeing Kate and William and the new baby Cambridge on those steps behind us. That is my prediction, and that, I think, will happen before 6 o'clock this evening. Our royal correspondent, Rhiannon Mills, doesn't necessarily agree with me on that. We'll have to see who's right and who's not. But before that, 2 minutes' time, we're going to see Prince William. Stay tuned our way. Good afternoon, this is Sky News live from St Mary's Hospital in London, where the Duchess of Cambridge has given birth to a baby boy. The new prince is fifth in line to the throne, weighs in at £8 and 7 ounces. We're here in amongst the crowds as we wait for our first glimpse of the newest member of the royal family.
Also today on Sky News, no backtracking on the customs union. Number 10 insists Theresa May is not softening her Brexit stance. A professional cook who made his name on MasterChef dies after collapsing during yesterday's London Marathon. And European judges refused to intervene in the case of the seriously ill child Alfie Evans after UK courts ruled that doctors can withdraw treatment.
Hello, a very good afternoon from the Lindo wing at St Mary's Hospital in Paddington, where, as you can see live here on Sky News, a Range Rover has just pulled up outside the main entrance to the hospital. We're expecting Prince William to leave very shortly indeed, head back to Kensington Palace to break the joyous news to his other two children that they have a little brother. He weighed in at £8 1 ounces, at £8 7 ounces, forgive me, at 11:01 this morning. Mum and baby are both doing very well indeed. With me, Rhiannon Mills and Alistair. We're going to stay out the shot because we are expecting to see the Prince shortly. He's going to come down these steps, head back to KP, and then what?
Yeah, so I've been told that he is going to leave now and head back to Kensington Palace, where he will talk to Prince George, Princess Charlotte. I think see how they're doing, see how they're feeling, before then deciding whether or not to bring them back here to the Lindo wing to see Mum and their new little brother. Last time, of course, Prince William did come back with Prince George, and we had that lovely moment, Prince George getting out the car, putting his arms up to Prince William, William taking him in his arms, and then we had them posing for a moment on the steps of the Lindo wing before then going in to see Mum and Princess Charlotte at the time. Of course, like any father, Prince William will want to suss out how the children are doing, how they're feeling, and whether they will be able to deal with and face this huge bank of cameras that we currently have outside of the Lindo wing. All of those lenses trained on the doors. One of their personal protection officers just getting out of the car there and walking back to the other car. This makes me think that we may see Prince William get out of the Lindo wing and then maybe go and get into that car and then drive himself away. So we've still got our eyes on that door. I think the police officer who's on those doors will probably have communications in to move out the way as soon as he knows that Prince William is ready to leave the Lindo wing. But of course, for Prince William, this is a really proud moment as a dad. And some people talk about his relationship with the media and wonder whether he doesn't like the intrusion into his private life. But I think he realises that this is part of the job. This is part of being a member of the royal family. And he's been here before, hasn't he? Twice before he's had to come out and face the cameras and realise that we are all waiting to hear from Dad how he's feeling about welcoming another little boy into the family.
What's the precedent, Alistair, for royals coming out, going back home and then bringing children? We've only seen it once before, haven't we?
Well, it's
twice actually. Didn't it happen with Harry with William when Harry was born?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that the televised moment of the first appearance of a royal child is relatively modern. The sort of opportunities that we now have of seeing things have increased incredibly in the development of the technology that's available. But, you know, this is a very modern approach. It's the normal thing now that a father is present at the birth and that also the children come and see the new child as quickly as possible. I think these things were not really normal in my parents' generation. So it's that we see here today. We see a young father, who we'll shortly see in front of us, who's been doing his job as it is seen to be done today in any couple.
He is such a hands-on
Most famous
father.
police officer in the world at the moment.
He is. Good poker face as well,
Yeah.
not letting us in on when exactly we're going to see Prince William leaving. But it is worth saying we have seen Prince William as a very active, hands-on dad. It was lovely to see him with Prince George and Princess Charlotte when they were on tour in Germany and Poland last year. He was a reassuring hand for Prince George, who at the time didn't entirely seem certain about the whole thing, being led down the plane steps to his first diplomatic lineup. And I think for both William and Kate, they see this as a team effort. They are very modern parents, and it's about balancing family life with those royal responsibilities and trying to make sure that their children have as normal a life as possible. Prince William, when he talks about Prince George and Princess Charlotte, you can tell he is so proud of them. He's often talked about how for Prince George, he loves anything to do with the police. He loves police cars. He loves police motorbikes.
That's the way to get him here then, isn't it, later on?
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty of them. So, yeah, we wait and find out whether or not Prince William decides that he wants to bring the children back, because they are very protective of the children's privacy, and whether he can balance both of them himself when he brings them back here.
No other royal visitors, Alistair, today, you don't think?
I think it's highly unlikely, and I also think that, you know, he will already have heard that the two children waiting back at Kensington Palace are in pretty good fettle, because otherwise I don't think this would be happening at all. I think we're definitely going to see them back here in about 35 minutes or thereabouts after the Prince leaves. And, you know, what a wonderful moment for those two children to discover and meet their new princely brother.
It's worth saying the last time that Prince William brought Prince George here, we saw that very public moment of them walking into the Lindo wing, posing for a photograph, but then we didn't see Prince George leave. And I think we can probably anticipate something similar happening. If we do see the children come back with Prince William, they will probably go in and then leave via a back entrance. The doors are opening now. One of the personal protection officers there talking to the police officer who's on the doors.
Just
giving an update.
Yeah, making sure and telling us which way he's going to come down the
Yep.
steps, and we're guessing that he's going to drive himself.
Well, they have left the driver's seat empty, and often, dropped his poker face. What does he know that we want to know? That's what I'm wondering.
The police officer for just a moment. There goes his poker face.
I suspect his friends are already taking pictures of him on the telly at the moment
Yeah,
and
sure.
sending them to him.
Yeah, relaxing back into it.
But yeah, we are used to seeing members of the royal family driving themselves, but of course with a convoy of police officers there very close behind, following him back to Kensington Palace, which is only a fairly short journey away.
Okay, Alistair, you think that we're going to see the baby leave today?
Oh, I'm pretty certain of that. I would imagine if they possibly can, and if the mother is feeling up to it, of course, then to get home back with the children who are coming to see their brother today. I think that that's just what any mother would want, if it's possible. And it seems these days, again, something that's changed a lot in the last generation or so, people recover so quickly, and that's the intent of all the nature of health and support that you get in the gynecological process, to get yourself back so that you can start organising a structure for the child to get used to life and get a rhythm.
Yeah, indeed so. So just in case you're just tuning our way, I know lots of you tuning in all the time to the news that there is a new royal baby in the Cambridge household. It is a little boy. We don't know his name yet. We do know that he was a whopper though, wasn't he?
Yes, 8 pounds 7 ounces.
That'll
So weighed in heavier than brother and sister, because they were both 8 pounds and 3 ounces. So Yeah, a rather heavier little brother has been welcomed into the world.
He most certainly has, or just after 11 o'clock. Meantime, brother and fiancé are out and about today. They are paying tribute to Stephen Lawrence's family.
Yes.
Alistair, it was 25 years ago. My little boy was just a few weeks old actually when he died. So it was. Must be 25 years ago since he died.
Yeah, that's right. It's the 25th anniversary of the death of Stephen Lawrence, and really a very appropriate engagement for Prince Harry and his fiancée Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle, of course, who's talked about being a proud mixed-race woman in the past and talked about the need for racial equality. I think there has been so much focus on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. I think that has maybe played into the fact that we have seen less hype around the lead up to this baby. But also, we've been here before, haven't we? We're sitting here with a sense of what's going to happen already. But also, it is part of that picture of this is a very modern monarchy, and the doors are opening there. And
Here we go.
personal protection officer clearing the way.
Yep, officer out of the way, which suggests that the Prince is coming in just a moment or two. Jeremy Corbyn has just tweeted to offer his congratulations as well to the royal couple at the announcement of the successful and happy birth of their third child. He wishes them all the best, is what we're told. We heard from the Prime Minister earlier on today. She said that the whole world was watching. I'm sure that an awful lot of the world is looking at this door just at the moment. It never gets boring, does it, Alistair?
No, it doesn't. There's always something coming, and there's always somebody with a comment to make, and I dare say all sorts of senior people in the country and also in the other 15 realms will want to make a message to congratulate the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge today. I mean, you know, they're just two very happy parents, like happy parents up and down the country, and also other happy parents that we've seen coming out of here today with their newborn. And in any family, this joy is something that is understood by all parents, and it's the start of a new chapter. But just looking at the quantity of cameras here, just waiting for even the father to come out of this hospital, you get a sense of what fate is doing here. We understand that this prince is going to be a member of a family that is totally different from any other in the United Kingdom and around the world, and that this interest is so profound, even on Earth, in the sense of being born for 6 hours. But, you know, this is huge.
Yeah, it certainly is. He was born just after 11 o'clock. This morning, baby Cambridge doesn't have a name as yet. The bookies have stopped taking money on Arthur, although lots of the crowd that we spoke to earlier on today was saying that they thought Philip would be in the name, probably likely, given that of course, he is the boss. As far as the royal household is concerned, he's been in hospital himself over the last month or so. He had a hip replacement at a hospital, King Edward VII. Here we go. Here he comes. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
How are they all doing?
Well done, sir.
Prince William, how are they all doing?
How are they doing?
Back in a minute.
Back in a minute. Are you bringing the children, sir? So as predicted, the Prince is going to drive himself. I wonder if he's had any further practice with the baby seat.
Plenty of practice.
Last time, didn't he? We'll see him very shortly. There he goes. And with that, he was gone.
Yeah, and I think probably saving
royal protection behind him. I'm just going to get up again. It's just so, you know, I'm coming. There we go.
It's not good on the knees.
It certainly isn't. Oh, my goodness. A little bit longer than expected. We were crouched down for about 15 minutes or so, but he didn't disappoint.
No, and a big smile on his face.
Yeah, I didn't quite hear what he said to you. Did he say?
He said, I'm coming back in a minute.
He said back in a minute, but he said something before that. I think he said everybody was well. I didn't quite hear it, but you probably heard it at home. He looked happy.
He looked really happy and actually quite relaxed.
Yeah.
And I think maybe saving a few remarks for maybe when they come out together as a couple.
They didn't last time, though.
They didn't last time. Hopefully they might do this time.
Yeah.
We'll see. But now he will head back to Kensington Palace, and everything that I'm hearing is that he will try and gauge how the little ones back home are doing, whether or not to bring Prince George and Princess Charlotte along. But that is, of course, the photo that all of us want. We don't get to see them that often. The last time that we saw Prince George with his father was when his dad was holding his hand going to school for the first day at St Thomas's in Battersea. It looked like he was holding back tears at the time, but again, that was Prince William showing that he is a very hands-on dad. The last time that we saw Princess Charlotte was photographs that were taken by the Duchess of Cambridge herself when Princess Charlotte was going to nursery. So we don't get to see them that often, and certainly the likes of Hello Magazine, OK Magazine, all of those international publications want those pictures of the children. They sell, and people are just fascinated to see how they're growing up. They're growing into little people now.
Yeah, confirmation from the Duke of Cambridge that he will be coming back very shortly indeed. Everything we're being told is that he will be bringing the two little ones with him as well to meet their little brother for the very first time. We will have that for you live here on Sky News in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Sky News. Time now to take a look at some of the day's other stories. Now, a professional...
Hello again, welcome back to the Lindo Wing. Within the last few moments, we saw Prince William leaving here. He's gone to pick up the kids, and he's going to bring them back, we think, to meet their baby brother for the very first time. Rhiannon and Alistair still with me, been here all day.
We have.
He looked very happy.
He did look really happy. He looked very relaxed, actually, for Prince William. I think he does have a slightly uneasy relationship with the media at times. I'm not sure he loves all of the attention that being a member of the royal family brings. But yeah, he looked really pleased as he kind of skipped down those steps and into the car and drove himself off to Kensington Palace.
And he said, back in a minute.
Back in a minute. Well, he's broken his word on that, but I think he'll be back in about another 10 or 11 minutes, because it's not very far away to Kensington Palace, and clearly the children were ready, I expect, and I'm sure he'll be wanting to get back in order to have this marvellous moment.
Indeed so, and we will bring that to you live just as soon as it happens. Right now, though, let's just take you quickly to the House of Commons, where Amber Rudd, the Home Secretary, is talking about the Windrush scandal.
Everyone who arrived in the UK before 1973 who were given settlement rights and not required to get any specific documentation to prove these rights. Since 1973, many of this Windrush generation would have obtained documentation confirming their status, or would have applied for citizenship and then a British passport. From the 1980s, successive governments have introduced measures to combat illegal immigration. The first NHS treatment charges for overseas visitors and illegal migrants were introduced in 1982. Checks by employers on someone's right to work here were first introduced in 1997, measures on access to benefits in 1999, civil penalties for employing illegal migrants in 2008, and the most recent measures in the Immigration Acts of 2014 and 16 introduced checks by landlords before property is rented and checks by banks on account holders. The public expects us to enforce the immigration rules approved by Parliament as a matter of fairness for those who abide by the rules. And I'm personally committed to tackling illegal migration because I have seen in this job the terrible impact it has on some of the most vulnerable in our society. But these steps intended to combat illegal migration have had an unintended and sometimes devastating impact on people from the Windrush generation who are here legally but have struggled to get the documentation to prove their status. This is a failure by successive governments to ensure these individuals have the documentation they need. And this is why we must urgently put it right. Because it's abundantly clear that everyone considers people who came in the Windrush generation to be British, but under the current rules, this is not the case. Some people will just have indefinite leave to remain, which remains they cannot leave the UK for more than 2 years and are not eligible for a British passport. This is the main reason we've seen the distressing stories of people leaving the UK over a decade ago and not being able to re-enter. So I want to enable the Windrush generation to acquire the status that they deserve, British citizenship, quickly at no cost and with proactive assistance through the process. First, I will waive the citizenship fee for anyone in the Windrush generation who wishes to apply for citizenship. This applies to those who have no current documentation and also to those who have it. Second, I will waive the requirement to carry out a knowledge of language and life in the UK test. Third, the children of the Windrush generation who are in the UK, most cases are British citizens. However, where that is not the case, they need to apply for naturalisation. I shall waive the fee. Fourth, I will ensure that those who made their lives here but have now retired to their country of origin are able to come back to the UK. Again, I will waive the cost of any fees associated with this process and will work with our embassies and high commissions to make sure people can easily access this offer. In effect, this means anyone from the Windrush generation who now wants to become a British citizen will be able to do so. And this builds on the steps that I have already taken. On the 16th of April, I established a task force in my department to make immediate arrangements to help those who needed it. This included setting up a helpline to get in touch with the Home Office. And let me be quite clear, this helpline and the information shared will not be used to remove people from the country. Its purpose is to help and support. We have successfully resolved 9 cases so far and made 84 appointments to issue documents. My officials are helping those concerned to prove their residence, and they're taking a proactive and generous approach so they can easily establish their rights. We do not need to see definitive documentary proof of date of entry or of continuous residence. This is why the debate about registration slips and landing cards is misleading. Instead, the caseworker will make a judgment based on all the circumstances of the case and on the balance of probabilities. Previously, the burden of proof on some of the Windrush generation to evidence their legal rights was too much on the individual, and now we're working with this group in a much more proactive and personal way in order to help them. We were too slow to realise there was a group of people that needed to be treated differently, and the system was too bureaucratic when these people were in touch. The Home Office is a great Department of State. It works tirelessly to keep us safe and protect us. It takes millions of decisions each year that profoundly affects people's lives, and for the most part, it gets these right. But recent events have shown that we need to give a human face to how we work and exercise greater judgment where and when it is justified. That's why, going forward, I will be establishing a new customer contact centre, so anyone who is struggling to navigate the many different immigration routes can speak to a person and get the appropriate advice. This will be staffed by experienced caseworkers who will offer expert advice and identify a systemic problem much more quickly in the future. I will also be putting in place 50 senior caseworkers across the country to ensure where more junior members of staff are unsure about a decision, they can speak to someone with experience to ensure discretion is properly exercised. There's also been much concern about whether the Home Office has wrongly deported anyone from the Windrush generation. The 1971 Immigration Act provides protection for this group if they have lived here for more than 5 years, if they arrived in the country before 1973. And I'm now checking all Home Office records going back to 2002 to verify that no one has been deported in breach of this policy. This is a complex piece of work that involves manually checking thousands of records. So far, 4,200 records have been reviewed out of nearly 8,000, which date back to 2002, and no cases have been identified which breach the protection granted under the 1971 Act. This is an ongoing piece of work, and I want to be absolutely certain of the facts before I draw any conclusions. I will ensure the House is informed of any updates, and I intend to have this data independently audited once my department has completed its work to ensure transparency. Mr. Speaker, it was never the intention that the Windrush generation should be disadvantaged by measures put in place to tackle illegal migration. I am putting it...
Here they come. Here they come. And you can see that the vehicle that left just a short time ago is back again. And we are, there is Prince William. Cheers from the crowd. Who's he going to get out of the back seat there? That's the big question.
I think Princess Charlotte.
There's a lot of baby seat action going on there, isn't there?
No,
it's George. Here he comes. Hello, young man. Holding on tight to Daddy's hand. So, is there anybody else on the other side of the car? Yes, I think there is. I think Charlotte's here as well. It just took him a few minutes to go back to Kensington Palace, and I think within the next few seconds we are going to see both of the royal children, 2 of his 3 children now, as of 11 o'clock this morning. Here they come. Here they come. It's the money shot, everybody. Waving for the crowd as well. You can hear the photographers behind me. Congratulations, everybody. Are we going to stand for a second? Up they go up the steps. Williams,
lovely wave from Charlotte.
Oh, lovely. George, a little bit overwhelmed again. Charlotte seeming a little bit more confident than her brother. And they've gone inside to meet their little brother for the very first time. Let's get up, everybody, should we? How amazing was that, as you predicted, Alistair?
Well, I just am overwhelmed by what it must be for those 2 young children to face this amount of public interest. And it underscores again quite what a pressure there is on young princes and princesses as they grow up. And this young infant born today is now in this world.
Yeah.
Just
it's lovely to see
2
them
years
both.
old. Oh, it's so lovely to see them. We so rarely get moments like that, and you can understand why. This must be so overwhelming for 2 such little children. But to see Princess Charlotte getting out the car and walking down the street and immediately waving, just think Dad must have been talking to them as they were in the back seat, like any parent would, saying, make sure you wave to the cameras.
Going to have to leave it there for a second, guys, because we want to go straight back to the House of Commons, of course. If we see baby Cambridge come out, we'll bring those pictures to you in just a second. Straight back to the Home Secretary.
I will consider further, in the light of the cases that come forward, whether any policy changes are needed to deal fairly with these cases. Mr. Speaker, I've set out urgent measures